Hello, I'm Meredith Manis, and I'm the Managing Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning here in Frisco ISD. I'd like to take a few minutes to give you a brief recap of our first Parent Academy focused on standards-based mindset. We began with the quote from Stephen Covey: "The more aware we are of our basic paradigms, maps, or assumptions, and the extent to which we have been influenced by our experience, the more we can take responsibility for those paradigms, examine them, test them against reality, listen to others, and be open to others' perceptions, thereby getting a larger picture and a far more objective view." We began with this quote because things are different. Education has changed. Paradigms have shifted. We no longer are just memorizing content for a test. We are really in the business of making sure students are prepared for their future and learning at a deeper level. And that takes a change in the way we assess and the way we instruct our students. Here's an example of a traditional way of assessing. Here I have 10 students. I'm giving them a test that's 30 questions, and here are their averages on that test, just holistically. So if I look at this and I look at their scores, I'm going to pull in students 3 and 5 for some remediation. They're clearly not understanding the material and need some extra help. For the rest of the students, they're doing pretty good, A's and B's. So we're going to move on with those students onto the next unit. However, if I break it down the same test by standards, my results look very different. Now, when I look at the standard 2D and I look down that column, I'm still going to focus on students 3 and 5. But now I also need to help student 8 and 9 on those concepts. And you can look across and see the similar thing. If we look at 2C, now I've got students 3 and 5 and 8 and 10. So it depends on the standard of how they performed as to how I can intervene for them. You also will notice there's some students that have the content down perfectly. Students 1, 4, 6, and 7 got hundreds on everything. That's fantastic. So now my job is to figure out how I can help them get to the next level in their learning and extend their learning. You'll notice at the bottom of the chart you have 5 teachers. So these 5 teachers all gave the same test. And as we look across, there's some teachers that their students performed better on some standards than others. So in our professional learning community, our teachers will get together and they'll look at their data together and they'll discuss instructional strategies and interventions and extensions that they can provide for their students so that the teachers are also getting better in their craft and can help meet the needs of their students. Our Parent Academy at a glance. We're totally basing this Parent Academy on what parents want to talk about. So we've asked for their feedback. They've completed some forms for us. They complete an exit ticket at the end of each meeting. They are able to ask questions throughout. And so as topics rise up to be most important, those are the topics we cover. For our next meeting, we are going to be talking about the common misconceptions in standards-based mindset. And then we'll hit on reassessment and accountability. So then we just did a little bit of learning together around the journey of standards-based practices in Texas. And we started with 1979. That was the first time that we had standardized testing in Texas, and it was the TABS, which is just a test on basic skills. Then in 1997, we got our standards. These are the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or better known as TEKS. And what these are is a list of very specific things that should be included in every course. So it's what teachers are supposed to teach and what students are supposed to learn. And those are in every course pre-K through 12. Then in 2009, the Texas Education Code was updated to include requirements around reassessment. So in Frisco ISD, we got together and we determined what our reassessment guidelines would be for campuses. And as we continue to learn about standards-based practices and best teaching and assessment practices, we got really intense with our learning in 2020. And we started learning a lot from various researchers around assessment. And one of the book studies that we did as a district was Grading from the Inside Out. And so that is the why we picked that book for our parent academy, because it gives a base for a standards-based mindset. So, what are standards-based practices? It's a lot more than just the grade. So, the grade is kind of the end game once we've done all this other learning and work. So, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. We are a professional learning community, and what that means is we always answer 4 basic questions as we plan. What is it that we want our students to know and be able to do? And that is at the heart what the TEKS are and what the standard is, and we break that down to figure out what exactly they're asking of our students. Then, how do we know that they learned it? So we have to develop an assessment plan. We have to decide what evidence is going to be most appropriate to let us know where students are on their journey. And then we design our learning experiences. So we have to then decide what types of learning experiences are going to get our students to the appropriate level of the standard. So here's just an example of that work. And these are all the pictures on the slide are our actual teachers and teams doing this work throughout the day. Here's an 8th grade example from history in which the students are to analyze the issues of the Constitutional Convention of 1787, including the Great Compromise and the Three-Fifths Compromise. So that's quite a lot. And so the teachers really need to break that down to what does it mean to analyze the issues? What were the issues? How do we get it to our 8th graders in a way that they will understand it? And it's going to have to be over multiple days. So we're going to chunk it into different pieces. So in this first part, maybe we just focus on the Great Compromise first. So they break that down into learning targets. They design an assessment plan and rubrics for how they're going to measure student success. And then they start talking about what the learning experiences will be. What resources do they need to tap into? How will they make sure that students have multiple access points to the material? They know that this is going to be a difficult topic. So how many different ways can we share this information with our students? So this is messy, right? Like, not everybody comes to us with the same skill set or knowledge. And so it gets messy. And teachers are fantastic at working through the mess and making sure that they know their students by name and need so that we can get them to success. And that is our ultimate goal, that all of our students reach their potential and success. So here's another example. Let's say we're going to a workout class and I get there and the instructor says, you're going to need to do 50 push-ups with correct form. That is our goal for this class. I am like, I haven't been working out. That is going to be a real big challenge for me. But there's other people in the class too. So here I am on the left because that is not where I'm living right now. And I'm just going to try. And I know it's going to take me time and I'm going to have to come to multiple classes to get it. And I'll get there. And then you have the group in the middle who's pretty solid and they are going to just need some more practice, but 50 is very attainable. And then our friend over here on the right who is doing push-ups and clapping in the middle. I'm like, oh my goodness, you are a rock star. So I'm going to make sure I'm challenging you if I'm your teacher. Maybe you're going to do 1-arm push-ups, 50 on your right and 50 on your left. But that person came to get a good workout too. So I definitely need to make sure that I'm meeting that person's needs. All right. And then we watched a video by Tom Schimmer where he is talking to a group of educators and he's explaining the difference between the traditional grading and standards-based grading. And kind of what's in the middle of that gap is the standards-based mindset. So that includes things like no late work. We're not penalizing for behavior. We really are focused on getting an accurate report of where students are in their learning. And then in the traditional sense, we put a lot of things in the grade book. maybe into that one grade, we had extra credit and we took 30 points off because it was late, or we had participation grades. And, how do you really measure participation grades? So those were the things that we lump into a grade in the traditional sense. And so when you get a grade home like a B, what does a B mean? Does a B mean that I was an A student that was penalized to a B? Or does that mean I'm a C student that was boosted up to a B? And so he kind of gives a lot of examples like that, and makes it really real of why the standards-based mindset is so important in this journey. And so we ended our general session with that. And then we broke up into small group to have some small group discussion with our participants. So that is meeting one from our Parent Academy this fall. We are so thankful for the parents who have partnered with us in this journey and are thankful that they show up and they're open to learning. And it's a very exciting opportunity. And we are just thrilled to be able to offer this. So if you aren't able to be a part of the Academy, hopefully this recap gives you a little bit of insight into what we're doing. Thank you.